My dear friends, it has been a while since last time I sat here in this room to record our talks, and as you may know, you have to be aware of the situation that we are going through in Hong Kong. We are so affected, and even though here in this particular location, here in Rosary Hill, because we are up the hill, Rosary Hill, so we are less affected by the demonstrations, the tear gas, but still we share the burden, and the pain of all citizens here in Hong Kong. But in spite of this, we want to continue our lives, continue our mission, and for us it's so important, to continue giving these talks, sharing with you what we have to tell you about the Lord, about Jesus, about His salvation. So this is the fourth talk, or the first part, the first stage of the journey of the people of Israel. We have called it alienation, when the people of Israel were slaves and condemned to die in Egypt. Here in this, I have decided to name this talk False Promises of Salvation. Maybe the title is not so accurate because actually there are promises of salvation that are not entirely false. So you have to forgive me. I will try to explain later on why I have named these promises of salvations like false. In any case, I would like to highlight, that there are paths of salvation different from our Christian tradition, In principle, just because these paths are different, it doesn't mean that they are false, but they are really different. And I would like to introduce some of them, actually not many because we don't have much time. I have chosen two, so that the difference will be clear and we can tell actually the novelty and also how amazing is the salvation that we can find in Jesus Christ. I have chosen two also that are very relevant today, extremely relevant, very much in the mood of many people, and it wouldn't be surprised if you or your friends have somehow received this kind of, I will say, knowledge, or I don't know how to call it, but in any case, I insist again, they are part of our lives now, Not many years ago, in 2010, a journalist called Barbara Ehrenreich, she wrote a book called Bright-Sided: How Positive Thinking is Undermining America. In this book, the writer makes a wonderful presentation of what is positive thinking and also the downside, the other side of this thinking. I believe this is very interesting. So I have tried to make a summary, to introduce you about this attitude that is very much present in many people. Positive thinking. Underlying this attitude is the idea that our thoughts can, in some way, mysterious way, affect the physical world. So this positive thinking can also be called thought control, or mind control, or even self-hypnosis. Underline again this idea of positive thinking is that we need to block, repress, delete all negativity, all negative thoughts. The basic belief is that optimism, positive thinking, is the key to health and also the key to material success. This is very interesting because it gives the person the power, to control his future. If you are positive enough, if you block all negative thoughts, if you have an optimistic approach to life, you will succeed. But of course, this is also very risky because if you fail, either in terms of health, if you get sick, or if you don't succeed, you have no one to blame but yourself. You were not positive enough. It is very interesting, how this attitude is now prevalent, it seems, in certain particular worlds, like those patients who are affected with cancer, especially breast cancer. So, in this world, in America especially, the words patient and victim, they cannot be told, they cannot be said, because they convey a kind of aura of self-pity and passivity. Instead, those people affected with breast cancer, they are describing themselves as fighters, battling, and they are convinced that their survival depends on their attitude. This is so interesting. Attitude, that is what matters. On one hand, this is the obvious thing, or the obvious approach, emphasize positive thinking, emphasize the right attitude of battling. You are a fighter, you are not a victim, you are not a patient. But imagine the cost that they have to pay. Like, some people may hear this message: as far as I can tell, you are doing all the right things to recover, but you have to continue doing them until the cancer is gone for good. I know it is discouraging to make great progress only to know it come back again, but sometimes cancer is simply very pernicious, very bad, and it requires the utmost diligence and persistence to eventually overcome it. Imagine how devastating it can be if positive thinking fails, and then cancer eludes or spreads treatment. Sorry, if the cancer eludes treatment or spreads, then the patient can only blame herself. She has not been positive enough. Or even, maybe it was her negative attitude that brought on the disease in the first place. Sometimes friends or the patient may say things like this: if you have got cancer, it is because you must have wanted it. I will explain about this later. If you have cancer, it is because subconsciously, you have been asking for it. Or even, a patient who said, I know I have to be positive all the time, and this is the only way to cope with cancer, but it's so hard to do. I know that if I get sad or scared or upset, I am making my tumor grow faster, and then I will have shortened my life. So imagine, everything depends on attitude. I have to be positive all the time. I cannot allow any feelings of sadness, negativity, to be expressed. You should remain positive at all times, a counsel says. You should avoid complaining too much, seeing the negative in things, and allowing all this negativity to show. Wow. Not easy, Not easy. And then, it is also so interesting, as we will see, that this attitude of being positive, of being optimistic, has been brought to other areas, like your career or your finances. The real obstacle lies in your mind. If you do not get rich, it is because maybe unconsciously you harbor any kind of resistance, like rich people are not good, or that if you are rich, you are going to be arrogant or not generous. So these inner attitudes are the obstacle. So if you are able to overcome your pessimism, and you are able to access your inner powers, you can do whatever you want. That is the message of this new religion, or this new thinking. So there are many seminars that help you defeat the negative self-talk. That is the key, the negative self-talk. And the underlying position is always the same. The only barriers to health and prosperity lie within yourself. By the same token, they continue advancing in this position that one external conditions, so what is happening around you, is only the projection or the manifestation of what is happening inside you. So, if there is failure, unemployment, lack of success, it is because somehow in your inner world things are in contradiction. You are not projecting, you are not manifesting good conditions. So the point is to achieve the inner sense of well-being. Where does all this thinking come from? It is really interesting. It originated in the last decades of the 19th century, and it was called New Thought or New Thought movement. Actually, this movement appeared in the Reformed Church in America as a kind of reaction against the Calvinist way of thinking. For those who may not be so aware, this Calvinism really terrified people with an idea of God as scary, harsh, very eager to punish sinners. In this new thought, God is no longer hostile or indifferent, but He is all-powerful spirit or mind. And because man is spirit too, so man and God can be very, very good friends. The underlying position of this new thought is that there is only one mind, infinite and all-encompassing. And inasmuch as humanity is part of this individual mind, how can there be such a thing as sin? If there existed at all, it is just an error, a mistake, a disease, because everything is spirit or mind or God, and actually everything is perfect. The trick for humans is to have access, to access the boundless power of a spirit, and thus to exercise control over the physical world. This thrilling possibility is constantly being proclaimed now in today's literature on the law of attraction. There is a book that has recently appeared, and this book is called The Secret. It was published in 2006, The Secret, by Ron Byrne. And this book explains what is this law of attraction, based on the principle, according to her, and the people who believe in these things, this is a law, universal law in the universe, that like attracts like. So, if my thoughts manifest abundance, positiveness, health, goodness, etc., the universe will reply in the same way. Like my thoughts that have considerable force, and according to this new thought, the only thing that really matters are thoughts, not material things. Material are just manifestation, you know. So if my thoughts express or manifest positiveness, the universe will reply in the same way. In this new thought, so interesting, illness is a disturbance that mind alone can cure. As you may know, this approach was very successful with the kind of disease that affected middle-class Americans. This kind of disease is called neurasthenia. It's a kind of depression that affected, at the end of the 19th century, especially middle-class women, middle-class religious women, you know. These people, it turned out, were made sick, actually, by their religion, by their very rigid, very strict, very dark Calvinist religion. Calvinist religion emphasizes the sinful condition of men and women. So these people couldn't avoid to be always scared and filled with a kind of self-loathing, self-disgust because of the sinful condition. And it is amazing, but the reality is that actually these kind of thoughts, this kind of attitude, this kind of negativity made people sick to the point of becoming invalids, depressed, without strength. That is the meaning of neurasthenia. Means mental weakness, neurasthenia. So this is one example on how religion can make people sick. And this is very interesting, because this new thought came with the opposite view, extremely positive. The idea is, God is good, God is love, there is only one mind, there is only this energy, this vibrations in the universe. And you can actually, affect your own life by the power of your thought. You can make yourself healthy again. Only by your mind can you make healthy again, because the only thing that matters are thoughts. The other day I was talking about this with a friend, and then she mentioned that actually one friend of him was deeply affected by this kind of religion or spirituality. I'm saying that this is a false promise of salvation. Why? Many of us, I think, will spontaneously believe that being positive is good and being negative is bad. That optimism is the right thing to be, especially when you are sick, and especially if you have cancer. So, what is wrong with that? Again, if in the old religion, all the burden of salvation is on you, and it is up to you to save yourself, to behave properly, to do the good works, and then you will offer to God how good you are. If this is the old religion, it is funny, but because the new religion is nearly the same. It is up to you, entirely to you, to be positive. It is totally up to you to control yourself, but you have to do it. And the reality is that it is not easy at all. If it is not easy to behave in such a way as not to commit any sin, as to not to be guilty of any action, it is not less difficult. It is not less difficult to be always positive, because actually this is what the writer says, that you need to control always. You have to monitor always your thoughts, screening out any possible negativity. You cannot allow yourself to receive anything that could be negative in any way, any anxiety, any doubt, any weakness. All these thinking, all these thoughts are the expression of negativity, and according to the law of attraction, somehow they will manifest, and then you will be sick again, or then you will fail. Or, as we have said before, if I have cancer, and it comes back, and if I relapse, if the cancer relapse, that means that I have been not positive enough. I have no one to blame. Again, the responsibility is on my shoulders. So I have to try harder. I have to be positive. And I believe this is an impossible task, because salvation is not about self-delusion. Salvation is not about pretending or trying to be blind to the negativity inside me or outside me. It is amazing, my dear friends, how in the gospel Jesus Christ appears as a human being and also able to manifest negativity. He was not always positive. Sometimes he was angry. Sometimes he was disappointed. For instance, when he said, Jerusalem, how many times I have tried, to gather your sons like a hen, tries to gather the chickens, and you didn't want. Not to mention, at the end of his life, he cried, "Father, why have you abandoned me?" He manifested even his despair. So, and this is Jesus, the consummation of man. And he accepted negativity in his life and in the life of the world. Trying to go through life as if everything is positive is equals to self-delusion, and it will backfire eventually. Just to repress, to deny, to be blind to our fear, our anger, our doubts, it will not make them disappear or go away. They will come back, even stronger. So you see, sometimes people say, you have to be positive. You just have trust in yourself. Have confidence. You can do it. You just need to be confident. I remember when I was learning Chinese, and then one of the teachers said, the only thing you have to do is to have confidence in yourself. How can someone say something so stupid? If I have reasons to be confident in myself, I will be. You don't need to tell me that I need to be confident in myself, But what happens if I don't have reasons to be confident? Then just pretend, just try to hypnotize myself. It doesn't work. That is why in a secular age like ours, that we have, cut the umbilical cord that connects us to God, the only thing we are left is ourselves. So we need to believe in ourselves. And this new thinking, this new thought, says that we can do it. And just connect yourself with the great mind, with the great spirit, with the great universe, and then you can do whatever you want. You can actually be rich. You can have a good car, a good job. The only problem is here, in yourself. Sort it out. And you will unleash the tremendous power. And people say that our thinking or our brain is underused. If we only unleash the power, of our brain, then we can do whatever we want. The limit is the infinite. All this bullshit. Actually, it doesn't work. But again, it is very interesting. And again, this new thinking is not totally wrong. Nothing is totally wrong. Part of it, can be appropriate. And actually, psychologists, they help clients, to restructure, to change their negative self-talk, their negative patterns, of approaching reality. Nothing is new. But again, it is the absoluteness of the claim. You can control your life. You can do it, and you must do it. And actually, this gospel is being sold in many talks, in many seminars, in many books, again and again, and people buy it. But this is not what we are preaching. We are not preaching that you can do it, and you have to do it, and you have the tools, and you can control yourself, and everything is in the power of your thinking, and you can manifest. You can manifest. What is the meaning of manifest? That what happens inside me, whether I like it or not, will be spreading, manifesting in the outer world. That is the law of attraction. Will manifest in the outer world. So, if I am sad, if I am depressed, if I am unhappy, all this mood will manifest, attracting like situations. People are not going to like me, people are going to leave me, I'm not going to succeed, I'm not going to get what I want. And the only reason is you, because you were not able to control your thinking, because your thoughts were tainted, toxic, were negative. So you have no one to blame, only yourself. Change your thinking and then you will succeed. Interesting, huh? Very much so. But ultimately, a huge disappointment. Thank you.